Hello, hello. So, I guess people are gonna tune in. I'll let people slowly get in here. But I've got a plan for today's stream. First already, wow. That was seconds in. Crazy. Welcome, welcome. What is up, guys? How you guys doing? Y'all hear me, right? More SSF random build. One day, dude. One day. I want to do it. But it's, the reality is that it takes longer and therefore less videos, man. Less videos if I do SSF. Loud and clear. Excellent. So you played Second Wind. Are you going to make a video about it? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is my Second Wind character here. Today we're not going to be playing much PoE. That's not really the plan. The plan is to talk about how I make builds. And hopefully how you can make builds. Because I've gotten a lot of people asking me exactly that. How to make your own build, or at least like to a semi-successful degree. Because I'm definitely not the guy who's going to tell you how to optimize your build 100%. I don't even do that for myself. So why would I, you know, try and convince you guys that I can teach you how to do that? That'd be stupid. But what I can do is hopefully help you gain some confidence and tell you where to look for resources so that you can make your own builds work, at least to an acceptable degree. You know, everybody's like determining point of like what's acceptable and what's considered a good build is different. But yeah. Half crafting. Yeah, the gas arrow lich thing was really fun. The thing is like Abyss now is not nearly as prevalent in every zone like it was back in Rise of the Abyssal, so the crafting is actually, like, if I were to do that crafting challenge now, it would be a lot harder, just because stuff is so much more expensive. But it's, yeah, I know. I want to do more stuff like that. It was fun to do that. I think this one here, the Second Wind build, is going to be fun too, because although it is Trade League, everybody started fresh, and it was a much smaller amount of players, so things are like, the prices of things are pretty wacky. Some stuff is really expensive, some stuff is cheap. Mostly stuff is like relatively expensive compared to the normal Trade League, so it did mean that it took a bit longer to get to a good power point. But yeah, we're pretty chilling right now. So I actually I prepared a bit of a how do you call it, like a PowerPoint presentation, like slides, but I'm not good at this, so this is gonna be fun to show off my slide making techniques. So I go here, view, and then slideshow, I think, right? How to make your own builds by a noob, Schwingy. So I think what I'll do is I'll go through this little tiny PowerPoint presentation, talk about the different points that I've written down, and then like we can definitely elaborate. If you guys have questions, you can definitely ask. I am a noob. I only have like 500 hours, okay? By like the pro player standards, that's complete noob, dude. Yeah. So we'll go over this, and then you know, if there's questions, you know, go ahead and ask, and I'll elaborate. I'm hoping that you guys can help out too, because I'm sure you guys have a lot of tips and tricks that help you with your builds as well, and you know, maybe stuff that I don't know. And then after that, I want to like pretend make a build, or at least plan one out. We'll do it live. Yeah, exactly. Managing expectations. Boom. The next slide. Yes. So disclaimers, I am not a pro build maker. I am not your Snoobe, I am not your Jungro, and I am not Garatha. I am not X the Farmer X, I am not Captain Lance. I'm none of these guys that make these crazy builds. I'm I'm just some guy who takes random skills and does my best to make them work. And for me, making them work just means getting to the Arbiter of Ash. We'll talk about goals in a second, but yeah. If 0.4 would be 0.5 distinct 0.2, that would be good. Is it too late to change that? Hold on. Oh god, we skipped. Hold on, I can change that. That's true. Oh, but can I even do that though? Or no, I can't because freaking Google's too smart. Or I'm too dumb. Mage Fist. I mean, Mage Fist, is he like a crazy build maker? He makes Flicker Strike work all the time. So, I guess so. I mean, he definitely optimizes the hell out of his builds. But I don't think of him as like a theory crafter, like a crazy build maker. But maybe that's just like wrong. I think of him more as an entertainer than anything. I take the opportunity to say, I can't believe how good your videos are. You are a real inspiration for me. I hate playing meta builds. Your way of seemingly having fun resonates a lot with me. Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I try to just have fun with random builds, and sometimes it's more fun than others, but every build that I've played so far has been a learning experience, which is really cool. Make a Shred Titan. I don't even know what Shred is. I do have a Twitch channel, I don't use it. I just stream here. I'm lazy. I should probably set up like dual stream, but I'm also just like, okay, real talk, I don't like Twitch. I really don't. The whole system where like, I don't know, it just feels icky, Twitch to me. Like the attitude people have on there, and the way that like, I don't know. There are almost no rules. There are rules, but you know the lines are blurred all the time. I don't know. I prefer YouTube, man, and you guys can find me here, or else on Twitch I'll just be at the bottom of the list anyways. That's my take, hot take maybe. Okay, let's go back to full mode. Okay, I'm not pro. I make mistakes all the time, and I have to figure out ways to correct them. And sometimes I make mistakes and I don't even realize it until much later on. Or like, for instance, until you guys tell me in comments. For instance, in the latest Walking Calamity video, allegedly, I was missing a couple passive points the entire time. Someone pointed that out in my comments. So that's fun. That's fun. Yeah, my builds are not optimized. I don't take them all the way to Uber Arbiter and like, you know, the top stuff. Like I guess right now would be like the Atziri temples and like doing the whole snakes and stuff. I haven't done any of that. So yeah, my builds, they're I can only get you so far. And yeah, the goal is to help you gain the confidence and the resources to be able to make your own builds with whatever you get. So we're gonna do this, and then eventually we're gonna make like a fake build. Glacial Hammer Assassin build. Exactly, the rookie mistake where I thought Ambush... Well, I didn't think Ambush was constantly working. It's just that in Path of Building, I had Ambush, like, toggled on, and so that just gave me, like, 50% more damage than I actually had. Yeah. Noob mistake. Alright. So, next important thing. What is your goal? So having a goal in mind will help in terms of setting expectations. For example, for me, my main goal has always been kill Arbiter of Ash. It's a clear goal, it's something that you can do unless you get really crap RNG on the Atlas and you go in a straight line and you just don't find citadels. So far that hasn't happened to me, so I'm still skeptical if it's real, but there are people that have talked to me about it that I trust their judgment and their capacity to know what you have to do to find them, and they've also really struggled to find them. So I acknowledge that there probably is an element of RNG, and I just haven't seen the bad side of it yet. But maybe next league that won't even be an issue. Maybe they'll revamp the whole Citadel system. We'll see. But yeah, Arbiter of Ash, level 90. Kill Atziri. There's all kinds of goals. You know, maybe it's like farm up a Headhunter, or I don't know, just get to tier 15 Waystones maybe, or maybe even just beat the campaign, right? Whatever your goal is should help you set expectations for what you can accomplish. If your goal is I want to reach level 100, then, or like I want to beat Uber Arbiter for instance, then you're gonna be having a harder time to make any random build work. Like, I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm sure it can. But it's just going to take a lot longer for you to figure out the ins and outs of the build, and you're going to really have to like get granular and like learn what or how you can improve your build in all sorts of aspects, like mana sustain, defenses, chaos damage. How do you deal with chaos damage? How do you improve your damage? Does it go in crit? Are you doing damage over time? Are you using bleed? All this kind of stuff. So it really depends. If your goal is to just beat the campaign like Trey Perkins over here, then you know, then you're the world's your oyster. You can pretty much play anything. However, you probably don't want to rely on like a skill that is one of the last ones you get. I mean, you could, but like some skills you only get at like level 50 or whatever, and so those ones, you're not going to be playing it for most of the campaign, right? So it's not ideal. Am I going to make a build right now? We'll make like a fake build in a little bit. Not something that I'll actually play, but just to sort of go through the motions of how I go about figuring out what I'm playing and how I plan for it. We're not going to actually play the build. So, what do you want to play? Are you going to use some wheels to make a random build? For instance, I have my famous wheels over here. Are you going to use this in combination with the skill one to choose your build? Is there just a cool unique that you like, that you want to build around? Is there... Whoops, what have I done? Is there... Do you want to play something meta? I mean, if you want to play meta, then there's probably a million build guides out there that you could follow. But if you wanted to figure out meta for yourself, maybe you've heard that, like, back in the day, Lightning Spear was meta, so maybe you heard, like, oh, Lightning Spear's really cool, I want to play Lightning Spear, but I don't want to follow a build guide. You could do that. Is there just a skill that you like? Is there just an ascendancy that you like? For example, for me, if I had to pick any ascendancy right now that I wanted to play, it would be the Disciple of Varashta, because that thing is freaking cool. Disciple of Varashta, like with all the djinns and all of that, oh man, they're so freaking cool. But I haven't played it yet. One day I will, but super, super cool. Hearing you speak makes me go down in a nostalgia trip. You give elementary teacher vibes with your way of teaching. I'd bet you'd be a hell of a teacher for real. I appreciate that. I used to teach guitar, so there is an element of that there. We need 1 hour vids again. Yeah, working on it. Cover hardcore hints. Oh, see, this is one of my blind spots. Like, I freaking die constantly. And I wish I didn't. But, like, even on a defensive build, like, I'm playing Smith of Kitava right now. It's supposed to be a defense-oriented ascendancy, right? But I have more deaths on this build than many of the others. It's been crazy. I'm also pushing it a bit further, but even so, I think like hardcore hints, I'm not the right guy for that, honestly. It makes sense that Schwingy was Schwingin in a way. Hell yeah. Yeah, I used to play guitar a lot. I've honestly, since I started making videos, I've like slowed down so much. But yeah, I used to play guitar like multiple hours a day, every day. I even studied it and everything. The best defense is an amazing offense. Yeah, in a way it is. In a way it is. It's not, but it kind of is. Like, now that my build is doing more damage, I'm dying less. Who would have thought? Alright, let's move on to the next slide. Research. Okay, this is like where things get interesting. So let's say you have an ascendancy combo that you want to build around. You have a skill and you have an ascendancy. Let's say like Shred Titan. Okay, since somebody mentioned that in the chat. So the first thing I would do, I would pull up PoE wiki. By the way, I think all of these resources are linked in the description of this VOD of this video right now, so you can go check them out here. So I open up the Path of Exile 2 wiki, .net. Make sure it's the .net, not .com or .org or whatever. Not the Fextra Life one. We want this one here. And then I look up, what are we talking about? Shred and Titan, right? So Shred. Okay, let me make this bigger so y'all can... Okay, that's a bit too big. There. Okay. So this is Shred. Shred is a werewolf skill, and it does some attacks. I would probably also just like go look on YouTube and be like, hey, what's Shred? Oh no, sorry. Oops. Shred werewolf. Let's look. Oh no, that's also a Diablo 4 thing. Damn. Okay, here's one from like a month ago, whatever. Mute it. So I just go look to see like, okay, if I don't know what the skill is, what even is this skill, right? So it looks like Shred is just, is that the werewolf's basic attack? I guess so. So we look at what this is, we realize, okay, it's a cold skill, it's a melee skill, it's a strike, it's a shapeshift. You got to look at all of these tags because that's going to tell you how you can scale the skill to do more damage. So you really like this is the most important stuff right here. The tags right here, because that's going to tell you like what you can scale in terms of your gear, although mostly it's going to tell you how to scale it in terms of your passive tree. So you're going to want to look for things that are strikes, maybe projectiles, because the projectiles is what the icy fragments. See, I don't know if you want to build around the icy fragments or the attack itself. I guess you have the options of both. If you go for generic attack nodes, it'll scale both of those. If you go for generic shapeshift nodes, it'll scale both of those. So ideally you go for that or cold and not necessarily melee or projectile, because that will only affect a portion of the damage that this skill does, whereas these other tags will affect the entire thing. So you learn that. We look at that, and then we go, we can also do, oh yeah, there's another resource that I love using. Hold on. I've got like all my things here. This. Okay. This page specifically on the Path of Exile 2 database, where you can scroll down and find your skill, primal, Shred. Okay, Shred is definitely, oh, it's not here because it is the basic one, eh? Okay, so unfortunately Shred doesn't show up here, but if it was like a normal skill it would, I guess, because these are all the ones that you can gem cut, which is useful because you can tell like what level it is that you get to use the skill at, or at least like what tier of gem level. So I find that super useful to look at it here, so I can say, okay, like for instance, if I had cross slash, I'd be like, okay, this I get like halfway through the campaign. I'm not gonna build around it in the early game because I can't even use it yet. So that's something to do. Need to sleep. It's 10:50 p.m. Oh, dude, good night, man. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by. Hello, Mr. Pisney. How do you say that? Is it just Pisney? I'm glad this is helpful. Okay. So I like to look at skills here. So, okay, so Shred doesn't show up here. It's a bad example, unfortunately, but you can click on it here and find it here. And then here you can get even more information, more detailed information about the skill. You can see exactly how much damage does the ice fragments do, or rather, like, I guess not how much damage, but you can see it. All of the damage gets converted to cold and all that kind of stuff. Oh, what up, Surge? Thanks for coming on. And then, oh, they even have like the little example. Oh god, they have the little example videos. This is better even than the wiki. I like the wiki for some stuff, but I think the DB is even better. Yep. And then you can see all like the base damage information, the scaling and all of that. And then sometimes there's even like more details down here. But honestly, this is like way past my pay grade. I don't know what any of that means. So I tend to just stick to looking at this one here. Okay. So where was I? I'm getting lost in all these tabs. Okay, learn about your ascendancy. All right. So ascendancy, I can also go via PoE2DB or the wiki, or my preferred way, if it's up to date, is Path of Building. If you don't know what Path of Building is, it's a very, very helpful tool. I'm going to launch it right now. Give me a sec. It's a very helpful tool for build planning. So, this is Path of Building. comes with an empty skill tree. You get to choose your class up here. So let's say we were doing a warrior titan. Then I could look down here, zoom in on the titan, and look at what all of his different nodes are. And this is super useful. I do this for every single build that I play. Basically this whole process that we're going through, I look up like, hey, what's shred? What does the titan bring to the table? And then see how I can combine the two together. So we look at all this, maybe look at like which are the 4 juiciest nodes, or maybe even just 3, right? Because you don't always necessarily get the 4th ascendancy if your goal is not too high. Okay, yeah, thanks, Wolf. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's just like, I don't know what that stuff is. But sometimes there are like timing things. Like it'll explain the timing of skills a little bit better, or like the 3rd strike of this attack, it does this and blah, blah. Whereas in the initial little blurb at the top, it wouldn't show that. That's been my experience. So sometimes like there are some details down here that you wouldn't notice in here that are kind of significant, but not too significant. I just got here, but I have a question. If you have something like Frostbomb, do you try to make Frostbomb the clearing skill? Do you make it a single target, or do you make it self-elemental? See, that's totally up to you. If I were doing it, I suppose I'd probably try to make it, I don't know, I'd try to do it like all, like both clearing and single target, because, okay, in a real build, you would choose one or the other. So my recommendation to you guys, choose whichever one makes most sense to you guys. However, in my builds, I've come to learn that people don't like when I take a skill that I got on the wheel and only use it for clear, or only use it for single target. They're like, oh no, you made this the XY build instead of the X build. And it's like, alright guys, fine. So now I just take that skill and I make it work for everything, which sucks sometimes. Like, spoilers, I'm doing bone cage. So I'm bone caging single target and AoE. And as you can tell, the AoE is not great. Alright, that's enough of a spoiler right there. Okay, so once you've looked at your ascendancy and stuff, and if you were looking at uniques, I'd look at the wiki for that. Okay, why is my PoE still going? Shut up. Thank you. So once you've figured out your stuff, then I go on PoE to Ninja to look for build inspiration. Uh-oh, we have song playing. Not good. There we go. Okay. Is this live? Yes, it is. Where am I going? I'm lost. PoE to Ninja, that's where I'm going. Okay. Boom. PoE Ninja. This is instrumental for finding tech, for finding inspiration for your builds. And yes, if you're completely new to the game, I don't recommend looking at this. You'll be overwhelmed. But if you're at least somewhat familiar with builds, you've played builds before, you've played the game before, then you're this is a good place to be. Thank you, Goat Fluffer. You know what I'm here for. I don't know what you're here for. I know who you are. Thank you so much, dude, for the 10 plin. I actually don't know what currency that is, but I appreciate it, man. Are you here for the One Piece spoilers? Is that what you're here for, dude? Who's the best girl? Yeah, so once I'm here, I then choose, you know, one of these things here. I'd probably look, because I play basically Trade League, I'll look at Fate of the Vows, the most recent league, and then maybe not look at the latest snapshot, maybe look at like week 1, because the latest snapshot, like most of the builds are going to be like super complete. People that have put in like hundreds of hours in one build, whereas I want more of snapshots, maybe like even day 4 or stuff, like early stuff, because what people accomplish early on will take me over a week easily. Any roulette build today? We're just like sort of going over how I make my builds, how I make them work, a little bit, trying to sort of teach you guys how to gain the confidence and the knowledge to make your own builds to a certain degree. Okay, so we said Shred Titan. So let's just like look that up, see if anybody's done that. So I'm gonna type in Shred in the search filter here. And we go here. And now it's a main skill, so now we're only looking at skills that use Shred. And then we can click on Titan here, and that'll narrow down. There are 48 people playing Shred Titan. That doesn't necessarily mean that Shred is their main skill, but they do have Shred as one of their skills that they're using probably actively. So we just click on one of them. And we can look, inspect their build. Dude has 2 different Shred setups. I'm not sure why. I guess he's got 2 different talismans. How does that even work? That's weird. I don't even understand that. I thought Shred just came with your talisman. How can you have 2 of them? Do you guys know? This is weird. Shred is weird. How much money do I have to pay for you to suffer hardcore? Dude, no money will make that happen. If it happens, it'll be because I want to. That is the truth, my friend. Oh, really? If you lock your weapon, you get 2 different instances of the skill gem. Interesting. Okay, that's cool. Today I learned. See, I knew you guys would teach me something. So for anyone not sure what the hell that means, hold on, let's see. Let's go on my Walking Calamity, that'll be a better example. Okay, so if you lock this to... How the hell do you do that? Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, somehow you're supposed to be able to like right click or something and it's supposed to lock. Maybe because I have this equipped. Ah, there you go. Yeah, okay. You right click it and then now I have 2 sets of Maul. Hey, look at that. Okay, 1 for weapon set 1, although it doesn't oh no, it shows right here, 1 and 2. Cool. Today I learned. Alright, so yeah, so PoE2 Ninja. So I'll look at this, okay? I'll look at the tree, I'll look at what ascendancy points they took, which you can see like over here. You can even import this build into Path of Building if you wanted to. You can click on this, open Path of Building. It'll open up a new page if you have the program installed. And then you can further inspect it in Path of Building here, which is a better place to look at this kind of stuff. So you can look at what kind of nodes he took. You can look at here, you can look at the skills, all of the different support gems that he has on there. And you notice, okay, he's got Berserk, he's running Herald of Ash, he's got Lunar Blessings. So this is, I think, like a typical werewolf build, right? There are a lot of them floating around. And then you're just looking at like, okay, what makes it the Titan special? Well, he's got this node here, 50% increased effect of small passive skills. That's probably the best Titan node that he has. And that makes it so that all of these little tiny nodes are 50% stronger, which, if you think about it, there are so many of them. It is massive. That really adds up. So Titan's going to be able to benefit a lot from having these smaller nodes. The notables don't get affected, but all the little ones leading up to it do. And for April Fools, you should do a guitar lesson in PoE terms. Jesus, I don't think I could pull that off. Do I re-roll if I get Gemling, or would you use it anyways? I would use... I think like anything can... Almost any Ascendancy can do almost anything. So yeah, I would totally just play a Gemling again. Gemling is like super... like you say, it's very open. I think it's like underexplored. I don't think a lot of people have played Gemling. It's one of the least popular Ascendancies, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it is if you don't count Abyssal Lich. And yeah, so I think there's probably a lot that you can accomplish with a gemling that people just don't really bother. I would still play it. For me to re-roll something, it has to be either something that I've already done, because I'm still like, as you guys have seen from watching the videos, like those of you that have watched most of the videos, I try not to repeat anything that I've done before. So for instance, if I got another Acolyte of Chiyula, I probably wouldn't do it yet. If I got a Gemling, I wouldn't do it yet. So I do re-roll over ascendancies that I've done before. Same with skills. I'm not going to redo the same skill twice. Or if something was adjacent, so like if, for instance, on my Shield Charge build, Shield Charge Acolyte of Chiyula, I also did use Shield Wall. I've rolled Shield Wall while trying to roll for these builds that I play so many times. It's ridiculous, but I don't do it because I've already done it. I wanna explore new stuff since I still haven't played all the ascendancies, so yeah. That's like kind of my important thing. And then I also try to keep the archetype of build kind of fresh. So I am a little bit picky with my builds, but not because I don't want to play certain things. It's more like I want to make sure that for the videos that you guys are getting different, a nice variety of builds, and not just always playing melee, which is what I probably would do if it were just up to me. I would probably just keep playing melee forever. But I don't want to just keep doing that because I know that would get repetitive. So I think keeping it fresh is important. Yeah, there's already a ton of ascendancies. And they're adding more, which is super exciting. Yeah, so Ninja, okay. So another fun thing that you can do with Ninja, let's go back to the Shred Titan look. So another fun thing that you can do is you can see this show passive heat map. Click on that. And this will highlight kind of the paths of the tree that like every Titan is taking. For instance, like the red means like all of them are taking that, which is the increased small passive skills that I was talking about. That is like the best node. And then this highway here, this looks like 10% increased skill speed while shapeshifted is super important. 79% of the builds have that. And yeah, so now sometimes you'll get combinations that don't exist, right? So go away. Okay, so we're back to like a blank slate. I got Bone Cage, right? Bone Cage. And I got Bone Cage, Smith of Kitava. There are 0 people that did Bone Cage, Smith of Kitava. So, what does that tell you? Well, it tells you it's unexplored. It doesn't mean that it's bad necessarily. It just means it hasn't been done. Maybe there are people that have done it in other leagues. That's certainly possible. If we look at Second Wind, I should show up now. There I am. Okay, yeah, on day 4 I was level 68, fine. But let's go back here. So there's nothing. So what do? Well, okay, I'm not going to look at Smith of Kitava since there aren't any. What I'll look at is the other ascendancies. What kind of locations on the tree is everybody going? So everybody's kind of hanging out over here, it seems like, also up here. Unfortunately, the Smith starts down here. But I see, okay, wait, these are important. This crit stuff is pretty common. Maybe I should go there. Then I will also close that. I'll also look at what gems people tend to have linked to your Bone Cage, to your main skill. So I'll look, okay, Astral Projection, like 85% of people have this. This is the skill that makes the Bone Cage no longer just, where am I? No longer just create a ring around you, but it, so this is what normal Bone Cage looks like. Well, okay, without Spell Cascade too. It just casts, I don't know why it's, okay, because that's the cast on death thing, yeah. Sorry, I've got a lot going on in this build. Okay, this is what normal Bone Cage looks like. It just makes a little ring of bones around you. Now, if you add Astral Projection, now it'll cast wherever you click. So that's super important. That's like super handy. So I learned that. Well, I actually had a feeling that that would be really important anyways, but it confirmed it when I saw that people were doing that here. So, okay, Astral Projection. You can click on it. Okay, what is everybody else doing with Astral Projection? A lot of people have Spell Cascade. Half of the people. So what does Spell Cascade do? You click on it and you bring it in there. Now, instead of it just shooting one little thing, it does 3, or like 1 and then 2 more. So that's really important. So I look at this kind of stuff, I go down the list, I won't necessarily take everything, but you get to pick and choose and it gives you an idea. That is how I go about that. So then, let's go back to our slide, it's been a while, where were we? Yeah, so PoE 2 Ninja for build inspiration. So I'll do that with, I'll find like several builds that are similar-ish, or even in the instance of this, this case, what I ended up doing, because I knew I was going to be a smith, right? But Bone Cage is not popular. So I clicked on Smith of Kitava, and I was like, all right, how are people getting tanky on the Smith of Kitava? Like, what are some strats that people do? Now, there's a lot of people that primarily go life, but I knew that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go energy shield. So you can click on this button here and look at people that have a higher energy shield and see, okay, what are they doing? How are they getting energy shield? So this build is still an attack build, but you can see like, okay, they've got a focus, they have their Crown of Eyes, they've got the Essentia Sanguis so that their leech gets converted to energy shield leech, and that starts giving you ideas like, okay, if I can combine the defense of the Smith with the offense of any of those other Bone Cage builds, I'm saying that with quotation marks that you can't see, floating quotations, and yeah, you kind of just trying to merge those two ideas together. So I'll do that, and that's kind of what I did. Now this is definitely pretty niche. There aren't a lot of energy shield smiths, but it just gives you an idea. It's the whole point. YouTube canceled my super chat. Have another one. Thank you, Rumble dude. Appreciate you. Always appreciate you, dude. All right, let me catch up on chat. I just missed a few things. Someone was asking about the Lich. I saw that. Okay. I have tried myself. I got Detonating Arrow Lich, and even though there was damage, it was close to unusable because you were locked in one spot. What would you have done? Probably cried. No, honestly, I don't know. I would have looked at, okay, what does Detonating Arrow do? 0.0% play rate. Wow, that is really bad. Wow, that's bad, dude. You gotta, wow. Okay, now there are 10 people in second wind that have that. That might be a rough one. So I click on one of these. Is he actually using Detonating Arrow? It looks like he might just use Detonating Arrow as like a single target maybe, and uses Vine Arrow, and Toxic Growth and all that for AoE. Yeah, that's tough. When you have like clunky skills, it's really hard. Like for instance, there's Plasma Blast on the crossbow. That also I think would be really hard to build around. Like it can be done. People have done it, but crossbow, this one here, Plasma Blast. Because that one you have to charge for like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then fire to just do like this big lightning blast that does like 3,000 damage. Or 3,000% damage, I mean. It's tough. I don't know. I guess I'd look at like what are the ways that you can improve it, but it's true. When there isn't much to go off of here, you're going to have a much harder time and you're kind of more on your own. I don't have great advice for you, unfortunately. I just keep looking, maybe look on YouTube, see what people have done, because I'm sure there have been some Detonating Arrow builds presented in the past. I'm pretty sure every skill has at least 1 or 2 videos. They might not be great videos, but you can at least get some idea of what to do. Just got to the end game with a heavily armored lightning monk thanks to your random build videos. Just want to see if I can make it work. First Path of Exile 2 character. Love the content. Thanks, dude. That is awesome to hear that you got it. We're able to make that work. I have insane analysis paralysis and I love to optimize, so this game is torture but also cool. Yeah, I can see that. Can definitely see that. Don't save. Okay, alright, we've covered the research aspect a little bit. Let's move on to the next stage. Make a plan. Alright, so this is where I would jump into Path of Building 2. Link in the description if you're just joining and you don't have it. And then I will go ahead and plan out a build. Oh, what have I done? I just closed it. Okay. We'll simulate this whole thing with a random build in a second. Let's get through this slide. I will discuss how the program works and some important stuff about it. Then you play the game, and this is the fun part. Ideally, you play the build, you get to the point where you get your skill that you've chosen, you get to the point where you get your ascendancy that you've chosen. Maybe you struggle to get there, maybe you don't. I think pretty much in 99% of cases, you will identify problems that you are having. Maybe you're running out of mana. Maybe your defenses are too low, you're dying too often. Maybe you just don't do damage. Then you just gotta find solutions. You gotta look on the tree for, okay, where could I path towards to fill in this like missing part of my build. For example, if it's damage, okay, where can I increase my damage? Where can I find that on the tree? And then also, obviously, gear is a huge factor. You need to find better gear, and sometimes that just means grinding the same zones you've been stuck in. Like for instance, when I played Unearth in that solo self-found build, that solo self-found run with Unearth, Gemling Legionnaire, I was stuck in the Act 2 mines, the first, or like the second area of Act 2. I was stuck there for like 3-4 hours, just grinding that, trying to find like armor with fire res, because the engineer was just one-shotting me with her freaking little kamikaze move. I could not beat her, and like my damage was atrocious, so I just kept grinding and grinding and grinding. Eventually I got fire res gear, and I was able to survive those kamikaze explosions, which by the way I was too slow to get away from. So yeah, it's a matter of just finding, like, you realize, okay, my defenses are bad. You check your character panel, perhaps you realize, oh, I'm not, fire res capped, or I'm not cold res capped, or maybe if it's late game, I don't have a lot of chaos res. I have 11% chaos res. I'm dying to chaos constantly. I need to get more chaos res on my gear. If you look at my build right now, I think I only have chaos res in one slot. I don't even know where. Oh, it's from the soul core over here. It's not much. Let's say you identified issues that might take a bit to fix. So is it better to start over again, or is that a waste of time? Oh, I mean, that's totally up to you. Depends how willing you are to explore this kind of stuff. Like, are you someone who is determined, or are you someone who would rather take the easy path and just move on to something else? Personally, I've never hit a point where I couldn't find a solution. The closest I would say was with that Unearth build. On multiple occasions in that run, I just wanted to stop playing, and I did stop playing for a few days, but then I'd come back and keep at it, and eventually push through the tough, challenging section of the game that I was stuck at. Are you going to do any build reviews, perhaps? I understand if not, big love, love your comment. I don't think I'd be good at that, to be honest. I'm not like a build knowledge guy. I like discover things by playing the builds. So unless it's like a build that I've already played, I won't be much help, I don't think. Unless you're making some like super beginner mistakes, like I don't have enough defense at all, or you're just, glass cannon stuff. But honestly, like I don't know most builds. I'm not that guy who knows everything about everything. In fact, I have a funny story. I don't know if it's funny, but a little story to share about an experience I've recently had, like a month or two ago. So about a year ago, I started climbing, like doing the indoor climbing, the bouldering stuff at the gym, and I really enjoy that. It's great. But a couple months ago, I overheard two of the employees talking about something very passionately. and then I caught the word blood mage. And I was like, huh. Do these guys play Path of Exile by chance? I kept listening. They're just like at their counter talking. And sure enough, it was definitely Path of Exile what the guy was talking about. So I went ahead and just, said, hey, are you guys talking about Path of Exile? In French, of course, because I live in Quebec, in Montreal, so everything's French. Or half of everything is French. Anyways, so talking to him, and he just starts yapping about his Blood Mage build. I think it was a Spark Blood Mage in 0.3, if I'm not mistaken. And this dude just knew everything about builds. At least the builds that he'd played. He knew like all of the Ascendancy nodes by heart and what they did. And like I mentioned something that I was playing. He's like, oh, did you try going this way? Did you try doing that? And I'm like, my God, this guy knows everything. Like, what the hell? But then I mentioned like I was playing a Chronomancer, and he's like, I don't know what any of those nodes are. I don't know what the Chronomancer does. And I was like, okay. So it really is a case of like playing the builds that you know and being familiar and like learning by doing. And that's how it works for me, for sure. So like now I have an idea of how Kitava works, or at least how this body armor thing works, which is really unique to the Smith of Kitava. You got to use a normal body armor, and then you get to like craft it via these nodes here, which is such a cool system. I'm disappointed I didn't get to play with this. This is cool too, fire spell on hit, but it's okay, maybe in a future build. So anyways, all that to say that like you just accumulate knowledge by playing. And yeah. Do I have another one? Optimize. Okay, if you make it to the really, really late endgame stuff, that's when I would recommend starting to look at, okay, what are other content creators doing with their builds, and is there tech that you can steal that could fit into your build somehow? Maybe it's just like a generic attack tech. For instance, once upon a time, Constricting Command was a very popular unique. Let me find it. This guy here, Constricting Command Viper Cap. Or actually, let me find it on PoE2 wiki. It'll be prettier. You can see the art. This guy. Right? So this right here, it was a very popular helmet because it had this line here that requires 4 to 2 fewer enemies to be surrounded. And this doesn't really seem like what does that give you at a first glance? Nothing really, right? But if you combine that with a bunch of nodes down here, type in surrounded. All right, these nodes here are some of the, or I don't know if they've been changed or not. It seems to be like less popular, but these were some of the most efficient nodes you could possibly get for your build. That would increase like your damage a lot. And by having that that helmet, you could have this surrounded tag active all the time, even if you only had like one enemy in your presence, which is kind of crazy. Is this the culprit? Yes, it is. It is. This is what people chance orb into that. I don't think it's worth much right now, but last league it definitely was. I think it got nerfed. I think it got nerfed slightly. It can't be like perma on. I think now, yeah, number of enemies required to be surrounded cannot be reduced below 1. So you do have to have at least 1 enemy in your presence for it to work, which like, if you don't have an enemy in your presence, why would it matter? But I don't know. I guess there's like move speed. Is there move speed? I think I saw that. 10% increased move speed. So you can't get this while you're not actually next to somebody. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's what I thought. It used to be 5 to 2 fewer and could go below 1. Yeah, it's still strong, but it's not useless. Yeah, you could remove it from your filter for sure. So anyways, yeah. So that was popular. So if you were playing an attack build, it would be something to consider. And that's when you're like trying to really push your build to the limit. For instance, for the build that I'm playing now, I steal a little bit of tech, or like take inspiration from, it's not quite the same, from this guy, the farmer, and his Temu Temporalis build guide. It's not not really quite the same at all, but also there are some similarities. Like I'm using this scepter here in combination with, oops, sorry guys, with cast on minion death. So that when I cast my bone cage, one of my skeletons will die, and it'll cast another instance of bone cage. Super fun. So that I got the idea from watching one of his videos. I just stumbled upon his video and thought it was cool. And I think that's the end of this. Yes. Okay. So let's quickly go through and like pretend we're gonna make a build. Can't wait for you to get an oracle set up and get stupefied by being allowed to make any skill work with zero thinking. It can't be that simple, can it? No, oracle looks cool. It does look cool. Hopefully one day. Alright, we got our wheel. Our trusty wheel. If this is your first time seeing this wheel, it's in the description. Infernalist shapeshift minion build. I haven't played an Infernalist, so I don't have any thoughts, unfortunately. Although I do know Infernalist looks intimidating, I can tell you that. So that sounds intimidating, but I'm sure it could be done. I'm sure it could be done. You go witch, Infernalist. What does she do? This is the very spooky stuff. The infernal flame thing that changes your mana. Ignite, demon form. Here you got some generic defensive stuff that you could take. Yeah, you'd probably go for one of these. This one gives you spirit. Aha, so you go, okay, you take this, Baydad's Will. Get a bunch of spirit so you can summon a bunch of minions. And then Infernal Hound, because he's a minion. And then, I don't know, maybe this one. Not sure. Maybe you get a bunch of ignites from you and your allies can ignite. Something funky. Funky for sure. I don't know what this is. And Path of Building doesn't know what it is either. That is unfortunate. A lot of the nodes aren't supported in Path of Building yet, and like even on uniques and stuff, which kind of sucks. So you kind of have to understand it yourself. Oh, you guys are going on about how OP Oracle is. Nice. Well, I'll have to do it one day. Probably after it gets nerfed. With my luck. Just like how I did Gemling Unearth before Unearth got buffed. RIP. Alright. Let's pick a wheel. All skills. I always like to go for the skills first and then ascendancy. It's just a preference thing. So, if I... Okay. So let's simulate how I would do it. And I'm going to be like super honest behind the curtain, show you that I actually do deny a lot of things. Sometimes there's like weird stuff that'll just show up, like a curse for instance, that technically could turn into a damage and ability. But often I just don't want to deal with that nonsense. But you could do it. There are some weird ones that get on here that as I discover them, maybe I remove them, or as people bring it up with me, maybe I remove them. But most of the skills on here are actually like damaging skills that could be either used as a single target or AoE skill. Alright, let's see what we get. Man, that was so close to landing on Bone Cage again. Okay, Reap. So Reap is special. Of course we land on a special one. Reap is special because it doesn't come from a skill gem. It comes from an item. Let me... Where are we? Here, okay. So we go here, we go on PoE2DB. And we click on, type in Reap. So what does it do? Reap is a spell, it's an AoE, it's physical, and it has a duration tag. Okay, interesting, I didn't know that. So, conjure a bloody scythe that sweeps across the target area, dealing physical damage to enemies and applying critical weakness, cannot be triggered. Now, if you don't know what critical weakness is, you can hover over this and the little pop-up comes up to tell you that critical weakness gives the affected targets have a 0.5% critical hit chance, and it can stack up to 20 times, meaning that you can gain 10% base crit if you stack this up fully. I guess it only applies one stack of critical weakness, which is not a lot. Unless you're casting really fast, but a 1.2 seconds base cast time is pretty high. It has 0 mana costs, which is sweet. 14% crit, which is 14. Yeah, sorry, I'm talking too fast. 14% crit, which is very nice. Almost, I think the max is 15 that some spells have. It has Culling Strike built in. So if an enemy is, if it's a boss, is 5% health and you hit it with Reap, it'll just die instantly, no matter if it had a lot of life or not. And then you also gain some life. So how would you scale this? Ideally, you scale spell damage, you scale crit, you could scale AoE, you could scale physical damage, physical spell damage specifically. There are nodes for that and items for that. Cannot be triggered. Okay, that's good to know. So you can't have this, because it's not a gem, you can't put it in like a cast on crit setup, for instance. The PoE DB logo, yeah, it's kind of funny. That's a relatively recent change. Like, oh, maybe like a year ago or something, maybe less. And the first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell? But no, I just tune it out. Okay, so it's a spell. Basically what it does, if you've played PoE 1, it's Cleave from PoE 1. Or even Reap from PoE 1, but do I have a Reaping Staff? It would be great if I did, but I doubt that I do. No. Let's just buy one so that we can just look at it. Reaping Staff. Cannot be supported by Unleash. Sad. Okay, we can put the sound back on, I guess. So if we equip this, and it's a kick-ass looking staff just by itself, actually. Now if you use Reap, there you go, that's Reap. And this is a spell, which is kind of cool. This is obviously an attack, but it's a spell. Okay, as Fading Wyvern points out, level scaling is especially nice because of the no mana cost. That makes sense. So if you can get a bunch of spell levels, I guess you would get them... How would you scale the level? Because I have... Oh no, I don't have. Okay, never mind. So if you had increased spell level on your amulet, on your staff itself, then this Reap skill would be a higher level. And I just took the cheapest one, so it's only level 15, but ideally to get one that's level 20. And it costs 0 extra mana, which is amazing. So you can get a ton of damage that way for free, because a typical problem that spells will run into is that the mana costs get astronomical as the spell level goes up. So that's kind of cool. So Reap is special, but let's this is exactly the same thing that we were seeing earlier. Okay, so now let's choose, or not choose, but see what ascendancy we get. So now I go here, and ascendancy build Roulette. Okay. Reap Infernalist. So that looks like we're going to be looking at Infernalist anyways. Yay. Okay, so the first thing I gotta do, actually before I even look at this, is learn what level do Reaping Staffs even show up, because I don't know. So, we go here, and then I guess on the wiki would be the best place. I type in Reaping Staff. A little bit too Zoomed in. Reaping staff is a staff-based staff type. The required level and attributes depend on the level. Yeah, requires level 38. Looks like. Yeah, so you get it way like towards the end of Act 3. So until then, you'd have to be leveling with something else, probably, you know, the Bone Cage or Unearth if you want to do physical spells, but you could also just do generic spells and like Spark and stuff and go level with that and just take spell damage and cast speed nodes, and that would still benefit Reap whenever you made the switch to it. But okay, so let's just say level 38. Now, I'll just add a Reaping Staff to the build. Actually, that reminds me, I do have to just teach you guys a little bit about... Oh, okay, there isn't one. About how to use path building a little bit, just a little bit, a small overview. Okay, we have a new item, Reaping Staff. Perfect. For some reason, it's level 41. Can I change that? Oh, you know what? I don't care. That's fine. Oh yeah, plants, of course. I forgot. It's just hilarious because I have plants. I have my plants. I should know that. Okay. So let's just go over how Path of Building works a little bit. So this is Path of Building. You get to import your characters here if you wanted to. So I could go here. I could. I'm already authenticated, but you could like sign into Path of Exile website through here, and that'll let you load up your own characters. So for instance, I could load up my most recent character that I'm playing, Sherlock Boned, and then all of his information. All of his skills are here, his tree is here, and this is actually super useful for when you're trying to optimize your build, is to bring in your build into Path of Building, and then you can sort of figure out, okay, for instance, like, oh, I don't know, where's some damage? How much damage am I actually gaining from these nodes? So you would have to make sure that you have your damage and skill selected here, and then when you hover over a node, it'll tell you how much damage you lose if you were to remove it. Likewise, it also tells you how much damage you gain if you were to add something on here. So if I add this one node, then my overall DPS goes up by 4.7, which is actually massive. I should probably do that. So yeah, so if I hover over all of these, you can also see, like, if I were to remove these 5 nodes, or however many it is, 6 nodes, I'm losing 3% or 2.9% damage per point if I remove these. Very useful. You can also look at your defenses. You can also import items. I can go here. I can see, oh, I found this item. Or actually, something that I like to do is, let's say I wanted to find a really good wand or something. Or it's complicated because actually, okay, we're just going to use this. I'll have to refresh. Okay. Here's an example of a useful thing that I do. You go over to anybody's shop, you hover over the item, you hold Control, you press C to copy, you go into Path of Building, you hold Control, you press V, you make sure you're on the Items tab, Control V, and then bam. Your item is here, and it tells you if you're going to gain damage, lose damage, all that kind of stuff. So that is super, super helpful for finding upgrades and like seeing, like, sometimes I'm just curious and I look up, like, I click here and I look up, for instance, we can sort by the most expensive. I can literally go travel to this guy's hideout and import the item into my build to see what it looks like. So I just hover over it, go into Path of Building, and if I were to add that to my build, you'd see, boom, I'd gain 73% increased damage, which is insane, obviously. Anyways, that's pretty cool. Cool thing that you can do. Let's go back to making this a blank slate, though. Okay, so that's some useful features. So you select your class here again, Witch, Infernalist. Skills, we want to make sure we get a Reaping Staff in here. Let me just add that crazy one, what the hell. And then we go into skills, and we have Reap. It's already guaranteed, like, given to us. That's weird. Why is there not a ability to actually add in? That's weird. Okay, you can't like add the gems into it. That's so bizarre. You have to do it here. You have to add it yourself. Okay, whatever. So then I go into Path of... No. I was going to say I was going to go into Path of Building, but I'm already there. We wanted to look at Infernalist. Let's look at Infernalist. So yes, the crit scaling. I think that is the right way to go. So become ignited when you deal a critical hit, taking 15% of your maximum life and energy shield as fire damage per second, but you get 50% more crit, which is a lot. Crit bonus, rather. More damage. And then... Okay, I don't know what Demon Form is. I don't know what Demon Flame is. This is the kind of stuff like I have to go to. This feels like an online class. I feel like a scuffed teacher who is just like flying by the seat of my pants. Is that the expression? I don't even know. I'm just like hanging on for dear life. I'm going all over the place right now. I'm lost. Where are we, guys? Maximum. So I don't know what you would take. You would take this. Reserve your life. You get more. No, get more mana. No. Maybe the spirit thing. This is like one of those things that I haven't done. Infernalist. So what I would do, I'd go here, I'd go onto PoE Ninja, and I'd look, okay, what the hell do Infernalists do? Show passive heat map. Okay, it seems like most of the builds are taking that node there and are going for the increased spirit, which seems like a no-brainer. You're just showing us what you'll be going through. Exactly, this is true. I've got my rate my professor score pending. Oh no, I'm gonna flunk. Okay, so hypothetically, probably gonna take this regardless. I think this is cool, but then we do have to solve, like, how do we deal with becoming ignited? There are some nodes on the tree that can remove ignite damage. What is it? 50% reduced magnitude of ignite on you, but this is really far. But you know, maybe that's something that you look into. We'll think about that after. Is anybody doing Reap? Let's look at that. 9 characters. And yeah, it looks like you're right. The Hellhound is popular, as well as the gain mana for life. Yeah. Everybody has this one section here, which is kind of funny. It's not even a node, it's just jewel socket. Isn't there a unique charm which reflects ignites? Is there? Is that the Bera's... Is that the Bera's thing? Heat proof in the amulet. Is heat proof the a node? Is that like something to instill, you're saying? Heat proof. Your armor also applies to fire damage and then reduce magnitude. Yeah, maybe you could do that. Crystallized immunities. What's that one? Nope. Immune to ignite if your majority of your sockets are red. Interesting. Could be an idea. That is expensive. The wheels should be in the description of this very video. That should be the top 2 things that you can see, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, dude. Fade is ripping. Appreciate you. Okay. So no need to travel. There's a copy item. Yeah, you know what? I realized that as I was saying that. So I've been doing it this way where I travel to the hideout and then check, but you could actually just click on this button right here. So you copy the item here and then go into Path of Building and import it. And it would show up right there. I'm probably going to start doing that. Although it is fun to travel to people's hideouts and get an extra loading screen or two. Make a Pathfinder Stormlance. Stormlance. Is that a spear skill? Pathfinder's OP, so you can make anything work. Okay, Infernal Hound. So the unfortunate thing is that I don't know what any of these do. So Infernal Hound, what does that do? But yeah, okay, so we've kind of already thought of a solution for the Ignite Immunity. Maybe you take this, maybe you anoint this over here. And by anointing, I mean you go into your amulet. Hold on, guys. You grab some delirious orbs. You click on that. You get to socket the right combination of these in, and it'll like anoint your amulet with like something new. So you can get any of those notables from the tree. Like literally any of these, or almost any of. Okay, these are terrible examples. Almost any of these have a combination. Like here, you can see that it says Paranoia, Guilt, Despair. You add those three together in that order, and you get that notable added to your amulet. So where is the crystallized thing? Here. So this one is Isolation, Suffering, which is expensive as hell, but it could be done. And that could solve Ignite for us, so that we can survive the Ignites that we take, but we gain the 50% more crit damage bonus. Oh yeah, you totally could just put anything. Like you just stick a whole bunch of red gems. You'll have to have enough strength to support that, but that's probably not a big deal. Probably quite doable. Let's see. I would like to just like, for instance, pretend that I wanted to investigate this build further, and so I'd click on here because click on Infernalist, since the Path of Building is kind of not really doing it for me. So what is demon form, for instance? I can click on this here, and now I can find out. Shapeshift into a demon, vastly boosting the power of your spells. You gain Demon Flame every second you remain in demon form, causing your life to be lost at an ever-increasing rate. Maximum 10 Demon Flame. So it stacks up to 10, and you lose a bunch of life as it's stacking up. You revert to human form when you reach 1 life, so before you die, or if you use a skill that isn't a spell, or you can choose to deactivate it whenever. So what, it just gives you a ton of cast speed? It says boosting the power, but then it just says gives you a ton of cast speed. Oh no, deals 3% more spell damage per Demon Flame. Okay, so this is another way that we could go. Then you gotta figure out, okay, how are you gonna sustain the whole life loss thing? I suppose there are ways for doing that. There's a lot of suggestions here, interactions. This is something that I'll typically look at. And then also, like I said, like we've done before, Path of Building itself is a good place to look to. So if we see anybody that has taken that node, go away here. Let's get rid of the Reap just for a second. And we want to look at anointed or passives. Which one is it? What's it called? It is called Demonic Possession. Okay. So this one here. So now all of these people are using that node, Demonic Possession, and you can sort of get an idea of like, okay, what are they doing that's so special that allows them to sustain that or to play around that. This guy's got a Sacred Sanctum, Virtuosity. So it doesn't look like he's doing anything special, to be honest. Maybe you just slapped it on and it kind of works. I'm not sure. This guy's got Giga Gear though, of course. I've seen people get reduced duration with time of need spirit gem and get infinite healing. Yeah, so you get a ton of reduced duration. You get time of need. I've heard about this interaction. I haven't done it. You get time of need right here. And this basically, like, you can reduce the duration a ton, because normally it's like 10 seconds between each time you get a bunch of life. But you could get it to like down to like split seconds somehow by getting so much reduced skill duration on the tree and I guess on items. And then you're just constantly healing. It seems pretty broken. It's probably gonna get nerfed, probably reasonably. Like I think that getting that much sustain is probably not ideal for the game's health, but it is cool. So maybe that's something that you can do. Okay. So we got Reap, we got this. Let's figure out what skill gems we want to add to it. So we go back here, back to search. Now here I can remove the Infernalist, because now... Oh, because I still have the other thing. Now what I'm curious about is just, okay, what are people doing with Reap in terms of their Reap-linked gems? So Heft is really popular. Okay, Physical Mastery to boost the level of it. That makes sense. Rapid Casting, so it's faster. Deliberation, I probably wouldn't use that. Deliberation slows you down while you cast the skill for more damage, which, like, is fine, I suppose, but to me that sounds like, I want to go fast. Someone just bought something for 1 divine. Yay. Okay, so let's start importing some of those gems in here. So we go Reap. Nope, this one. We go Heft. Heft is popular. Physical Mastery was another one. Now granted, these are tier 5 gems, so you'll only get them like late into the campaign. But you only get Reap like in Act 3 anyways, so you'll gain access to these pretty soon. In the meantime, you can just use other generic spell damaging stuff. Like, I'm sure there's going to be recommended skills. In fact, we can look for that. Yeah. So it has recommended support gems right here. You can probably use Brutality, you can use Bleed, Rapid Casting in the meantime, and you'll be fine. Kind of held back by the mandatory Trample Toes. Yes, every rebuild that I've looked at has had Trample Toes. Although, only 46% of them here have it. Maybe there's something else that can do it. By the way, I am curious, is there... Maybe one of you guys knows, there's like a ton of you here. Is there a way to find, or to get AoE explosions on spells that isn't Trample Toe? Is there anything like that? Besides the Shrine. But that works like the Shrine would be great. Yeah, what up, Vortigan? PoE is great when you feel like your DPS is starting to lack. The amount of times I have seen something and been like, right, that exists is insane. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's great for optimizing. I'd say like that's the main thing, but I do like having a loose plan of a tree that I can sort of be like, okay, I want this for my defense, so I'm gonna go towards, you know, ES and get the ES nodes and stuff and know where I'm gonna get damaged. Herald of Blood is only works for attacks. All of those heralds only work for attacks. Could try to make the skill bleed or fire explosions. PoE 2DB has a explode page. Really? Let me see that. That's cool. Explode. Is it that? No, that's a passive. Maybe it's explosion. Vortigan, if you know how to find that page, let me know. Oh, down here. Okay. Empowered attacks, volatility. Burning enemies have a 5% chance to explode. Okay, so maybe this is it. Explosive impact. Okay, let's just, like, for fun, find that and pretend that we want to include that in our build. Explosive. Is that this here? Hey, alright. So we're probably not going to take this pathing, but it's something you could do. Technically, Herald of Blood can be played with spells as a bleed blood mage, or am I wrong? I don't know. I don't think you can. Oh, you can have it in an offhand and then use it? Oh, maybe. If that's true, that sounds like an exploit, but it's a clever use, if it is. Okay. Everybody go check out Vortigern's videos. This guy's a genius at playing the game with really insane restrictions. Okay. So now, okay, we're doing Reap. We want spell damage, so we're just going to look for spell damage, generics. Okay, so for leveling, we're probably going to level through here. Can get rid of this stuff. Oh, and Control C to the rescue. Get rid of those. We're probably going to go up through here. We increase our physical damage because we want to increase our physical. This int. We're probably just going to go through here. Oh man, this is annoying. What do I have to press if I want to just copy the same thing? 1 for intelligence. Holding the hotkey. Okay. Aha. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. Now I probably wouldn't need these. We don't need this pathing. Okay. This is more like it. We got spell damage. Nope, that's not spell damage. Well, it is, I guess. Poison. AoE. I think we definitely want AoE. No, that's reduced AoE damage, but have more AoE. Oh, that's weird. And then this is the opposite. So you just get both of them, and you have no problems. Grab that. You probably want to get the impales. You probably want to wrap around over here as well. The question is, what's the smartest way of getting there? There's no physical thing here, right? Armor break with armor explosion is also only with weapons, with attack weapons. I tried. No fun allowed. Yeah, it is. I do wish that was one thing about like the heralds. I wish that spells could use them too. Yeah, Reap is not melee. Reap is, despite it being about as melee as it could possibly get. Uh-oh, I lost my chat. Did my stream die? Okay, I think we're good. Got a little scare. My whole chat and stream preview just reloaded, said out of memory. Uh-oh. Got too much things going on. But yeah, this is non-melee. Despite it being as melee as it could possibly get. Does Maul work if you use a spell while holding it? You mean Maul like the talisman skill? Okay, so we got physical. Probably this thing again. Go this way, here, or actually, maybe you go here actually. You get that. You get that. You probably want bleed. I don't know. Maybe you want bleed. Maybe you don't. Defenses. We're in the energy shield area, so I'm just gonna go for energy shield. Although we're doing the thing where we reserve life, right? So you want to grab this, but we don't want to go CI, because you can't go CI and then reserve life. I don't think that would be. I mean, if you can, that's busted. If you can't, which I don't think you can, then it's not busted. You want energy shield, recharge rate. You want. I hate that. You want these things. We probably come grab this jewel here. There's some good ES nodes right here. Recoup, we probably don't care about that. Shield recharge rate, maybe we care about that, maybe not. Down here. Down here. We might want these as well. Mana regen. Wow, you guys are talking a lot. That's crazy. Palm of the Dreamer. You can't cast spells while shapeshifted. Yeah. Like Bone Cage with cast on crit maybe to clear. That's so oddly specific and very similar to what my actual build is. Damn. Yeah. I guess you'd probably come down and grab this too. Maybe even those. And close that. And this is sort of like, honestly, this is kind of about as loose of a plan as I go into with. I know I want spell damage. I know we could also scale crit would be something. So you could grab any of the crit nodes that we're close to. Crit chance, crit chance. Maybe we come down here and grab these guys. Wait. Let's see here. Grab these. Something like that. More crit for spells here. Perfect. So you see, you just like look up all those things. Yeah, path of building is very useful. Very, very useful, especially like for optimizing your build. Once you're already playing it a bit, even if you're only like low level, like you could be level 20, import your character, and you can use this really really helpful node. Hold on. Let me hide that. Helpful tool. You go show node power. You can set it to only show nodes that are near to where you already are. So this will only show nodes that are within 5 nodes from where you are already on the tree, 10, 15, or custom. Let's just do all. It's going to take a little while to load. Now, it's done its thing. All of the red / orange nodes are the ones that are going to increase your damage. With some caveats, there are some things that won't show up. For instance, I think there's an area here that has to do with like Arcane Surge. This here doesn't show up because we don't have Arcane Surge. But if we did have Arcane Surge, if we were getting Arcane Surge somewhere, if there's somewhere around here that you can get Arcane Surge, then it would show up. And you could like toggle that in on the config change, which is something we are going to talk about. I forgot that we have to talk about config. It's very important. Yeah, but you can see like, okay, this right here would give me more damage, or this one's pretty red, or like red and blue. No, that's pretty red, I guess. More damage. The more orange it is, the more damage it is. So I think like our biggest one is this right here, this node right here, which by itself gives us 9.4% damage. So, pretty cool. Amazing Taco King, that sounds like a really cool idea. Yeah, I think you could do that. Bleed, Poison, Avatar Fire to convert to fire, and then Black Flame Covenant to make it chaos, and then you have this really crazy DOT. Sounds cool. There's all kinds of ways that you can make your build, and like everybody's build is going to be different, which is cool. You could also just like drop an item that converts your, you know, fist to whatever, and then you decide, okay, let's turn Reap into a cold skill and stuff. I don't know if that exists, but I'm just giving an example. Something that maybe does exist, that maybe could influence the direction that you take your build. Let's talk about configuration real quick since it's kind of important. So there's a lot of stuff to look at on this page. Can even show all. Then it gets even more intimidating. So by default, it'll hide all of this stuff. It'll hide the things that it doesn't detect that you have. But let's say, you know, I was talking about Arcane Surge. I could toggle that, hide it. Now it'll be here, and now it's going to recalculate what the most like damaging skills are, for example. Also, I didn't mention it, but blue is defenses. So if something's very blue, then it's going to increase your defense. Unfortunately, the blue is really freaking hard to see on the dark background. I wish they made it like brighter, but maybe there's a way to do that in the settings. I don't know. But yeah, something you should know. So you go through your config. Do you use power charges? This stuff is not as relevant in PoE 2, but in PoE 1 it is. Companion your presence. I guess I have a companion in my presence because of the Infernal Hound. Have I crit recently? I guess. Have I crit in the past 8 seconds? Probably, if we got enough crit. We have 44% crit and we're casting. Is that only 1.3 times per second? We need more cast speed. Let's find some cast speed. And hide that stuff. Spell and cast speed. Best at orb limit. We don't really care. Here's a bunch of cast speed. Sure. Sorry, just gotta email 1 second, guys. Okay, it's nothing. Now, obviously, we're at like 119 out of 123. We have like a lot of points. This character would be level 96, which none of my characters are that high level. But I don't know. The point is just to show you guys what I do. So I just tinker around with this, and then when I actually go and play and I start playing it, I'll be like, I need more defense, or I need more damage, and I'll make a beeline for the closest thing that gives you damage. But yeah, config, you want to make sure that you have all of these ticked right. So for instance, we're probably going to add in the skill Thunderstorm, since we're a spell build. And Thunderstorm with Shock Conduction 2, is that the one? Yes. These two combined makes it so that you guarantee shock enemies that are affected by Thunderstorm. So you cast Thunderstorm, then you hit Reap, and the enemy is guaranteed to be shocked. So then what you can do is you go here and you make sure you take down shocked. That'll increase your damage. If you look over here, combine DPS, boom. It'll automatically calculate the magnitude of shock for you. Another thing, by default, it sets the enemy is a boss to Guardian/Pinnacle. So all of this damage numbers and stuff, the calculations that you're seeing are based on the enemy being like Arbiter of Ash level of difficulty. If you just want to look at standard bosses or just normal, then you notice that it's higher. And this basically just means that like the enemy has more resistances and stuff. So you could leave it on Guardian. If you're just playing through the campaign, I even just set it to no, because it gives you a better idea of what you're actually doing. And if you want to be a PoB warrior, then you set it to no, and you tick everything. It's just so that you have all of the buffs. That is a bad behavior that some people used to do back in the day. Probably our enemies ignited. Armor broken. Now we probably want to break armor somewhere, so maybe we add something to break armor, another skill. We could, like I've been doing in my current build, thrashing vines, and then I've had the armor break stuff on there. 2, armor break 3. Yes. Plus, I know Uruk smelting is good for that too. So this combination will make the armor break for the enemies. So I would click, is the enemy armor broken? Yes. You do a little bit more damage. Yep. Okay. Anybody got questions about this whole process? Because I think that's pretty much as far as I go with my builds, and then it's a matter of actually playing and identifying problems and stuff. And often, like, I'll change things on the fly, especially ascendancy stuff. Nothing is set in stone. You can always respec. How do you enable the node color? Down here, right at the bottom of the screen on the tree. Let me close this. You click show node power. If you want to look at just like the 5 closest nodes to anywhere that you're connected to already, you can click on the 5 here. Show node power. And it's telling me that, like, within the stuff that's really close to me, this node right here is one of the better ones. This one too. And this one over here as well. For damage, specifically. For defense, I guess it's this, but there ain't much. Really, the fist conversion isn't really a thing in PoE 2. That sucks. But I know how to add supports to ascendancy skills. Okay. So, for instance, the Infernal Hound that we just got, right? I assume that would... yeah, skills. So you can't do it here. So if you click here, does it show up here? Yeah, it does. You have to add it manually, which is super weird. We just discovered that earlier too. Yeah, you have to rewrite it. Like, same thing with Reap. You got it from the weapon, but you can't socket anything into it. You have to add it manually. I guess you gotta make sure it's the right level as well. That matches whatever level your staff has. Does it apply when you use specific unique items? Well, whatever unique you have, let's say, God, what's a unique that gives us more damage? The vertex, right? Wait, how do you even get the vertex to show the... Oh, is it this? How do you get a vertex to have the +3, +4 to skill jumps? It's not here. Okay, I'm gonna pretend that we have a vertex that just has that. I'm just gonna manually add it in. +3 to all spell levels. I think that might work. I have no idea if that worked or not, but theoretically, let's pretend it did. Then yes, this, like, your unique item, whatever uniques you have equipped and all that, will be accounted for, assuming that it doesn't say something like when you hover over it. Some of these uniques don't have here. For instance, Blackheart. Okay, this thing here is not supported in Path of Building yet. So if you see that, then it won't be taken into account for all of that stuff. So what you can do is, in this case, if we were using a Blackheart, you could be like, okay, intimidate, show all configurations, and there should be like an intimidate thing somewhere. Is the enemy intimidated? That's gotta be here. Is the enemy intimidated? Okay, boom. And you can then remove it, like hide it again, and it'll show up here. So if you had this in your build, you could kind of do that. Alternatively, you can also go into configuration and then add things in here, but you have to write them like really specifically. So for instance, +3 to all spell skills. I don't even know what the proper wording is. Is that right? 47k? No, I don't know what I'm doing. Something like that. You'd have to look at like an exact the wording of a weapon or a mod, and then write it in here, and you can add it in. If you want to just add notes, you just put like a slash in front of it, 2 slashes, and then that won't get counted for anything. I'm giving terrible examples because I'm not super fluent in Path of Building, but I'm fluent enough to get by. How would I play it as a starter build? How would I play what as a starter build? This? I would just probably level with a different skill, like someone was suggesting the plant skills, level with the plant skills until you get a reaping staff, and then from there start using reap and keep looking for better reaping staffs. Keep making my way through the tree. getting the nodes that are the most impactful, filling in gaps of power that where I need them. Have you seen Randomancer or the other build randomizer site? Nope, I don't think so. Oops, sorry. What is that? Let me... The Randomancer. What the hell is this? Roll your fate. Interesting. Wow, I have not seen this. This is that's kind of cool. Pretty cool actually. Wow. Who made this? This is very cool. Oh, you can choose like, oh wow, madness. Bleed and freeze. Huh. Frost darts, frostbolt. I don't know what this means, but this is very cool. Nice little project. How do I prioritize nodes? I don't have a great way of doing it. It just really depends on what I need in the moment. If I know that there's like a game changer notable, for instance, like this explosive impact thing, right? If we were building around this, I might try and get there kind of ASAP, but if I need something else in the meantime, I might go there first. But, you know, if we want to get the chance to explode, then I'll probably go here as quickly as possible and then fill in the rest afterwards. But beyond that, it's just a matter of like, well, what do I need right now while I'm playing? Yeah, Fade is ripping. I actually have no idea if you can post links, but yeah, I found it. You could try. I don't know if YouTube lets you post links or not. I imagine probably not, but maybe. Okay, while we're here, I'm feeling let's run one map and then we're gonna call it a day. Sure. So you guys can see what this ghetto build is like that I have been playing for a hot minute. Oasis. Let's do Oasis. I'm not running my maps 6 mod because I just die. No substitute for just sitting down and learning. I mean, the path of building helps you identify the things that are close, but yeah. Will this build be in the next Year to Hero? The one that I'm going to play right now, yes. The one that we fictionally made, the Infernalist Reap, no. Hello, the Cosmic Goat. It's almost Bone Cage cast on crit, almost. Cast on minion death instead. The plants are just there to break armor and to hit a whole bunch, to crit a bunch. When am I planning to realize the next 0 to hero? So I gotta finish with this build. I've technically beaten my goal, but I kind of was having a lot of fun, so I just wanted to keep playing. So I think I'm gonna move the goalposts a little bit further, so that I can. Oh Jesus! That was close. So that I can make a. Oh, come now. Shroud Walker just teleported me into that. Is it SSF viable? I mean, depends on your tolerance for suffering and pain, yeah. I was so close to the checkpoint, dude. I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. It was, leveling it up kind of sucked. it's in a decent place now, but I put in a lot of time into it. No. And James. Appreciate you, dude. Mel and Nico. I didn't play this. What do I have to watch for on them? Okay. So the rundown with Abyss right now, in terms of, like, are you talking about, like, how to make money type of stuff, or are you talking about, like, what is Abyss? Because, what is Abyss? You get those cracks, right? The green cracks that come out of the ground, a bunch of monsters spew out of there. They can drop some really expensive currency, especially in the late game. That is worth a lot. And that is actually how I've made the bulk of my currency on this character. Been running Abyss a whole lot. The mods that the enemies have are very rippy. Like they are dangerous monsters, Abyss monsters. They really are. And there's a trick with specific, very specific Abyss monster types called God, what's it called? Anamanamu's Void, something like that. Anemone's Void, and those enemies, they put like a swirly black cloud of smoke on the ground, and you can't damage them unless you're in it or unless they're out of it. And the idea is that you want to pull them out of the black smoke, and then that way, when you kill them, they have a higher chance of dropping the really expensive items. Which is super finicky as all hell, especially since that black smoke just moves around. It gets like regenerated in different parts. So that's Abyss right now, is you try and find those Anamanamu Void guys, pull them out of the cloud, and make lots of money, is the theory. Now, I've been doing that for a few days, as much as possible when I run into those enemies, and I have only twice gotten good items from them, so even with all that, it's still pretty rare, despite people saying that, I'm getting like 60 divines an hour doing this crap. I don't know, I haven't gotten to that level yet. Oh. Yay. Map successful. Everything is SSF viable if you're masochist enough. This is pretty much... Oh, I'm dead. Oh, I'm not dead. Hallelujah. This build has been like cool, but like the biggest problem I have right now is mana. For anyone who just tuned in, it is Bone Cage cast on minion death. Abyss is gonna be a problem. Yeah, Abyss is tough. Before March. Or you haven't started on this character yet, I guess. Or maybe you just started it. Would I say there are any problems in this patch that I would like fixed or changed in the next season? Well,
shipment sent.
Let me think about that for a sec. As far as builds specifically, not really. I'm not, like... I think the game's actually in a pretty decent spot, in terms of build variety. Like, if we go on PoE Ninja, I know, whatchamacallit, Oracle is dominant. Or at least it was. Yeah, 17, even Blood Mage. This is, like, not that bad. It's not that crazy of a spread. Obviously, I'd love more balance between the classes, but it's never gonna be perfect. Never gonna be perfect, and there's already like I feel like this is not bad. As far as the game itself, I have less and less issues with it as the game's been evolving. Like if you asked me that question a year ago, I was pretty much didn't like the game at all, the end game anyhow. I like the campaign. I really love Sprint. I know that like it sucks to get hit and get knocked down and die, and it happens to me all the time. Like probably half of my deaths are from me sprinting and dying. But yeah. Oh yeah, thank you Fadus Rippin for joining the club, dude. That's awesome. The Schwingers Club. My guy. I wish party play would get better. See some improvements. Yeah, I haven't played in a party much at all, so I don't even know what it's like. I know that it's like people say it's not the best, so any improvements to that would be great. Dude giving away his secrets for free. Yeah, they're not really secrets. What up, Try? So yeah, I don't think there's anything specific. Like off the top of my head, I can't even think of anything specific. I think like, let's see, where's the atlas? Where's the atlas? Oh man. Okay. Obviously, I think like if people are still having trouble finding the citadels, even though they're going in a straight line, that is a problem. Like if they're doing the thing that they're supposed to do and they're not finding them, that sucks. That's a problem. I haven't run into that problem myself yet though, which is why I'm like, I'm not sure it is a problem or if it's like the person's just not going far enough problem. Sprint is the best improvement in PoE 2 so far? Yeah, I think so. I really think so. Yeah, my Citadel was super close. This is not even the first one I found. I've found Citadel, 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 Citadel. I found them really early. really early. What do you type in chat? Slash or / deaths. And then / played is another one you can do. So I've already got almost 60 hours on this character. Crazy. I guess one thing I will say, the spell, the skill gem leveling thing, that is an issue that I think is kind of sucky. I think it would be less sucky if the mana costs weren't also like getting more and more nuts as you get the spell levels higher or even just attack skill levels higher. I think that's kind of the problem. Ooh, async trading is the best improvement. That's true too. Completely different types of changes, but you're right, that is huge as well. For the enjoyment of the game, Facing trade has been amazing. Thanks to 247 Death, or 24/7 Death Metal. Appreciate that, dude. Have a great day, you too. The main problem is the one way they found to nerf the plus level. Yeah, I know. I would rather either like plus level not be nearly as important, or you know, keep it as strong, but then just make the mana less of a thing. I don't know. Like, it sucks that your weapon sucks if it doesn't have +5. Let's just put it like that. Maybe it should just scale less. Like, because I think each level scales more and more, right? The fact that you can get +15, exactly. If it was like +5 total, that'd be great. But +15, that's a lot. Item rarity, I don't mind as much. I used to not be a fan, but now that I've sort of embraced it, and I just make sure to have some on my gear. Actually, I got a lot on this character, to be fair. I have a lot of... Actually, how much do I have? I have a lot on this character now. I didn't used to at the beginning, but I have 116 now. Wow. No, for most of the game I was rolling with like less than 50. But, yeah, I don't know how I feel about rarity, honestly. I'd be fine if they removed it, but then people, you know, you get the drops at the same rate as like, you know, 100, 150 or whatever, but yeah. I kind of wish it wasn't a thing, because then you could just focus on making your character stronger, which I like. I like that. Whoa, money. Oh, I finally got the rabbit idol. Cool. Stick that in here for 10% more spirit. Hell yeah.
Yes.
It's hard again, we don't know when it starts to fall off. Yeah, I just assume it's in that like 100 range again. Dude, your content is so addicting. I watched every single build roulette and I'm just waiting for more. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. More is coming. More is coming. I just gotta keep playing, and then I'll work on the script, and then I'll work on the edit, and then I'll upload the video, and then I'll do it all again with another build. What's my opinion on the story? If you mean like the actual dialogue and the lore and that kind of stuff, I really barely pay attention to it. I think it's okay, it's serviceable, but it's not amazing. If you think of, if you're asking just about like the campaign experience playing the game, I like it. My playtime on PoE 2 is just over 500 hours now. If I watch other PoE tubers, do I have a favorite? I don't want to name favorites. I do watch other PoE tubers, I have to. But no, I don't have favorites. There's so many that I watch. There's nobody that like I explicitly feel like I have to watch every single video. I feel like a lot of PoE YouTubers, not all, but a lot of them put out a lot of content for the sake of putting out a lot of content. I mean, people watch it, right? But so I'll just watch things here and there. There's nobody that I'm like, oh my god, this guy released a new PoE 2 video, I must watch it immediately. But yeah, Mage Fist is an inspiration for the kinds of videos that I've done for sure. Same with Exiled Cat. PoE 1 versus PoE 2 right now. PoE 2. Can't believe I'm saying it, but PoE 2 right now. I just love the way the game feels more than PoE 1. PoE 1 has more endgame content, there's no disputing that. But yeah, I like it. I just like the way the game feels right now. It's fun. It's genuinely, it's fun, and I love that. Nice one. Nice list, Rumble. What random build am I doing right now? This is Bone Cage, Smith of Kitava. Yeah. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna wrap the stream up right about now, so I can get back to the working on making this video for you guys. Wild combo, yeah, I know. It sounded like fun. I wanted to for sure play a spell build was my number one thing, because I don't think I've played a spell build in any PoE 2 roulettes thus far. Okay, Unearth, but that was more of a minion build. But yeah. Yeah, Prophet's great too. Prophet's really funny, dude. Thanks everybody for checking in. It was really nice to have you guys. I hope this stream has been helpful for some of you in terms of learning how to put builds together. That was the goal. I even made a whole PowerPoint somewhere. I closed it. Sad. But yeah. Why not skip the roulette? Because it's fun doing the roulette. Why would I skip it? Alright guys, I'm out. Have a good rest of your day and a good week, guys. Ciao.